Let me put this on Do Not Disturb.
Yep.
Gosh darn it. Oh, look at that. It's so distracting. For 1 hour. Turn on. Okay. Ready to make a clap?
Yep. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AMT Tech Trends podcast, where we discuss the latest manufacturing technology research and news. Today's episode is sponsored by Modern Machine Shop's Made in the USA podcast. I am the Senior Director of Technology, Benjamin Moses, and I'm here with...
the regular technology analyst, Stephen Lamarca.
We should put that on your card. Regular.
Regular. Not junior, not senior, just regular.
Just mid.
Kind of mid.
Steve, we're in the corporate world. We're in the trade association. Let's talk about corporate buzzwords.
Oh, man.
You posted something, and I thought it was very applicable because...
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's not needed, but...
I have to say, without calling anybody out, we are blessed that we don't hear a lot of corporate lingo.
I try to act.
Then again, we're not executive staff, but we don't have to hear a lot of corporate lingo.
Right.
But what are some of our worst offenders? What do we not who are our worst offenders, but what are some of the ones, like, if we could end today, if we could delete from people's glossaries, what would we get rid of today?
I got a couple from the link that you posted. Can I go through those first?
Yeah.
Because those are really good.
Full disclosure, that Instagram video that I sent, I don't think those are real, but they were really funny and they were very relatable. I think they were totally made up for that video, but they are so accurate.
They are.
In that, you could hear these.
And if you want the meaning behind these buzzwords, check out the show notes. You can watch the video. So the first one is, milk the cow from the inside. This one's offensive, but I thought it was pretty good. Hit on the ugly person at the bar.
Yeah, that one was like
that was rough. If someone's dropping that in a conversation, we need to have a conversation.
Dude, you got to talk to HR.
And the last one, pee from the rooftop until people it's raining. I'm pretty sure I've heard that before.
I can't be real. It can't be real, but it totally makes sense. It's so applicable.
Yeah.
Like it's totally something executive staff would do to junior staff. I just tell them it's raining. It's not in the budget. That's
Steve, what are some of yours?
I hate hearing belly buttons.
Belly button, that's gross.
I really hate just say, like, I get it. You can't say manpower today.
Sure.
And everybody has a belly button. I don't want to know that.
No.
Belly
buttons are gross.
They are. Sorry. Just say, people? Workforce, people.
Humans.
What's so hard about saying people?
Yeah.
We don't need too many people on this. How much harder is that to say than, we don't need too many belly buttons. Gross.
Gross.
You've already, I'm not listening anymore. I'm disengaged.
I've tuned out. I'm staring at the person's belly button now. Here.
Okay.
Touch base.
Touch base. Yeah. To heck with touch base.
Can we just
touch
talk?
Base. Let's just talk. Let's just keep the conversation going. It's like, hey, we're both busy, but we want to keep this going.
Yeah.
When
can we meet again? Let's talk.
When can we meet exactly? Yeah. Let's touch base. Let's touch base later. Shut up. We're not on. I've never been on a base. Actually, I have. But we're not in the military.
No.
We're working for an organization, sir.
I'm not playing baseball. I'm not going to touch any base.
I'm not an athlete. I'm absolutely not an athlete.
I once was many years ago. The last one I wrote down.
Yeah.
Ping.
My name's not Vasily. We're not working on a submarine. These are very military related, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe this corporate lingo, like ping and touch base, come from etymologically speaking, come from ex-military working for government contractors, and we are in the Beltway Bandit area.
Yeah.
We're outside, right out along the Beltway, with Miter and Northrop across the street. Wow,
that's a conspiracy we should start.
Wow,
there's a couple of things that I wanted to add to this list, but they're not really buzzwords, but they're just. Everything's digital now. I could see a bunch of years ago, using abbreviations or shortening words to make things faster, but it doesn't make sense anymore. So when I see emails or instant messages and people say thanks, THX.
Oh no!
Could you just put thanks?
Oh no!
Why do you need to shorten that? What are you saving?
Yeah. Oh, like the email lingo. I feel like email lingo is a little bit different from corporate lingo.
Yeah.
Because corporate's very try hard.
Sure.
Email is like, I want to smack you upside the face, but we need to keep this professional because these emails are tracked and could be pulled for HR reasons.
Yep.
Like as per my last email, I already told you this.
Yes.
Why am I repeating myself? This is documented. It's okay to repeat yourself. Like when you're actually speaking to somebody, that's fine, because there's no history of things that are said.
Right.
That's hearsay. But like
written language,
when it's written down, you shouldn't have to repeat yourself. As per my last email, you messed up. That's like a Southerner saying "bless your heart" or "some people's children," or "I'll keep you in my prayers." As per my last email.
I've busted that out similar in the same tone as per the contract.
Well, I feel like that's not as offensive because not a lot of people read contracts all the way through. They give them to Tom Clancy.
But the tone is harsh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one,
but signing off an email with I'm not going to name any names because I love my job, but I have seen emails signed off with like cheers, that's great.
Sure.
You want to pretend you're from Europe. Signing it off with THANX.
Oh no.
That's
what we're doing now.
It tracks with somebody that used to use their standard font as Comic Sans.
Not the Comic Sans.
But I will say that jokingly, in like a what's that hipster term? Ironically, I have signed off emails with the letter K space, all lowercase. Yep. The letter K space THX space BYE. Okay, thanks, bye. That one,
that's pretty good.
Like you need to say that's like the New York Bing Bong. You need to close off a conversation. Okay, thanks, bye. If you want to offend somebody, thanks for playing.
Thanks for playing.
I've never seen that on an email.
That's pretty funny.
That would get HR.
I'm going to add some of these abbreviations in my emails going forward. Steve, before we talk about the test bed, can you tell us about today's sponsor?
Today's sponsor, Modern Machine Shop Made in the USA podcast. Tune in for Modern Machine Shop's Made in the USA podcast to explore manufacturing issues faced by companies making an intentional choice to manufacture in the U.S. Featuring commentary from OEM leaders, Made in USA blends its nearly century-long expertise with a unique audio storytelling experience to shine a spotlight on the past, present, and future of American manufacturing. Find Made in the USA on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Follow Modern Machine Shop on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I read that perfectly.
That was a good job, Steve.
Dude, I crushed that. That was a one-take wonder.
We should save that forever.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I had to call it out.
It's surprisingly gratifying how gratifying it is to read something perfectly on air. I mean, it's just reading. But when it comes through, it feels so good.
Yeah, it does.
I want to talk about a brief update on the test bed because the value is growing to our partner organizations.
Yeah. So, okay, a while back, last year, Q4 last year, our buddy Sharab was back in the office for 3 months.
Yep.
And he was working closely with NIST. He was back and forth between our office and NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology in Gaithersburg, Maryland. NIST, we've got some new people over at NIST, and we've been working closely with them, and Sharab introduced us to them, and they came over to want to check out our test bed, namely the Pocket NC. And long story short, they have since acquired a Pocket NC, and I'm so pumped that they have a Pocket NC because it's just such a great little machine. And I got to reach out to them, by the way. Penta Machine, the manufacturer of the Pocket NC. I got to reach out to Penta to let them know that, hey, NIST has one of your machines.
That'd be cool.
Just so you know.
We should reach out to them when we go visit NIST.
Kind of a big deal. It's you guys are big.
Yeah.
For being so little.
We should go up there and map out where they're headed, because I think we can probably parallel buy some things that they're probably looking at too.
But they got a Pocket NC because of us.
Yep.
And they have also asked for all of our programs that we've used, and I've sent them over twice. And it's just a nice budding relationship, and I'm glad to see not just that, the test bed is helping other people, potential partners and companies see the value in a test bed and great, not affordable, accessible equipment.
Yep.
But also see, our little guy member companies getting this exposure because of us.
Yeah.
It's really wholesome content.
Yeah, that's fun. Steve, I want to get into a couple of articles. I got one on additive, but it's a little twist on it.
Okay.
Most of our additive content has been metals based, that's the tough stuff. But this article talks about polymers, the transformative power of innovation in additive materials. And it talks about if we want additive to grow, materials related to additive also has to grow. And the entire article is about polymers. And I know we've seen a lot of usage of shifting from metal-based additive to polymers and the material sciences to support that. And that's been very interesting. Oak Ridge has done a lot of testing on improving the tensile strength and toughness of polymers.
Yeah.
So it's very similar for molds and things like that, where it's very interesting use cases.
Right.
This article has a couple of key categories. So one is prioritizing polymer science. And here they're talking about the value and capability of changing the grain structure or crystalline structure from amorphous to actual crystal structure, or for a couple of reasons. One is significant strength and the process to get there. So I thought that was very interesting. We have basic materials, but we can improve the capability by the processing, different processing capabilities of additive. And it hits on a couple other ones, and it ends on a weakness right now, defining the polymer value chain. So as we talked about switching potentially to polymers.
Yeah.
Spotlight on sustainability. So a lot of times when we look at large platforms, we do talk about from design to, the term is another key buzzword here, but corporate buzzword is cradle to grave. If we're designing an aircraft, how do you design, manufacture, and then what do you do at end of life? What happens when you're not using the plane anymore? You strip everything out. Can you reuse it? Can you recycle that? So I think they're hitting on the sustainability side for polymers. Lightweight and localization. And I thought that was a key term. We've seen a lot of efforts with the lift on making things lightweight, shifting materials. And I thought that was pretty good. And the last one I do agree with, there are issues on repeatability and reliable processes. Absolutely. In aerospace, once something's printed and certified as an additive part, you're stuck to that machine. You're stuck to that process. Being able to scale up the same way you can on subtractive or traditional manufacturing processes is not the same for additive. And they definitely hit on that as a weakness. So I thought it's a very, very well-rounded article about connecting the trajectory of additive with material sciences.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Look like you got something on your mind.
No, I'm just processing all of that.
It's a lot to take in.
What an awkward pause. But I like that you mentioned earlier that polymers are really blowing up.
Yep.
It's because I'm glad that the additive industry is so persistent.
Yep.
Because towards the beginning, I remember back in 2008, maybe as far back as 2016.
Sure.
When additive was in the ETC at IMTS,
yep.
There was a lot of there was a handful of additive companies right there in that spotlight of IMTS right next to the main stage. But a lot of the grumbling was, we work with metal.
Yep.
You don't see wood turning lathes at IMTS. You see metal lathes.
Yep.
Why do we have plastic AM? Why do we have polymer AM here? We should be focusing on metal additive. And that grumbling's not gone, but it's certainly
gone down.
It's coming down, and that's not for no reason. That's because the development in polymers is like has been so impressive.
Yep.
And just look at forget the chemical structure and the features of using metal over polymer. Even though they're diminishing,
right?
When you look at like the manufacturing process itself,
Yep.
Where the processes available in AM, polymer has such an advantage in terms of cost
Yep.
and surface finish.
Sure.
Both of them, and even speed in some cases. So, I hate to sound like the graduate, but like, plastics could be the future here.
Not bad.
And, there's a lot of, there's constant arguments regarding sustainability. And I'm, for one, I love talking smack about like the fact that we keep adding to the trash pile in the Pacific Ocean of plastic bottles and straws and whatnot. But the truth is, as long as we're still dependent on gasoline, I don't have a problem with that because I love burning gas. There will be like polymer byproducts,
right?
And it's got to go somewhere. And because the stuff is virtually free, we may as well use it.
Sure.
At least until we're loading it onto rocket ships and sending it into the sun, because we got to keep this energy that is not created or destroyed in a cycle.
Yep.
And if we send it to the sun, it burns, creates light. That light comes back. We absorb it as energy. It is a cycle. It is the best way to keep things closed loop is to put it in a rocket and send it to the sun. We're not there yet.
Not there yet.
I swear to you, we will. In 80 years, they'll look back and be like, Stephen, like, he actually was on to something. Hopefully. But yeah, it's the development in polymers and plastics.
Yep.
We're seeing like it's not the 1960s anymore. like the military doesn't care that rifles are no longer made of iron and wood and are now made of aluminum and plastic.
Yep.
Like plastic's been around. It's pretty successful. We'll take care of that island eventually.
Steve, tell me about simulated testing in the digital twin and missiles.
So the Northrop Goobers across the street from us have recently announced, at least an article came out in Interesting Engineering that they have tested for the 5th time their new long-range air-to-ground missile.
Yep.
I'm calling it that. I'm not using their terms because their terms are very confusing. I had to reread the article several times, and explaining it to you, I even had to clarify something.
I was so lost.
It's so confusing. Anyway, Northrop Grumman has developed a new air-to-air or air-to-ground missile to be deployed from the FA-18.
Right.
And can probably be deployed from other airframes as well. But they're focusing on the FA-18 right now because we have the most of them.
Yep.
And it is a long-range supersonic air-to-ground missile for taking out anti-aircraft installments.
Interesting. Yep.
So it's not for shooting, destroying tanks. It's not for taking out buildings or bridges or airstrips.
Right.
It is specifically for shooting or destroying AA guns.
Right.
SAMs, surface-to-air missiles for shooting down other aircraft. It is a defensive munition, and one to be deployed at a long range.
Sure.
Now, doesn't sound very manufacturing. Here's what's very cool in manufacturing about it. They've tested it for the 5th time. However, this 5th time is the first time they've done it in IRL, in real life, because all of the testing they've done to develop this munition has been done in the digital twin.
Wow, that's cool.
It's been entirely developed in the digital twin.
Yep.
And because of the boomers at the top brass, they still want to see something explode in real life.
Yeah. Which I don't
probably
mind. Let's have fun.
Let me tell you something. We're not going to digitize the 4th of July anytime soon. Let's put it that way. And they want to see some fireworks.
Sure.
And so for technically the 5th test, but the first time in an actual deployment, that's wrong. They haven't deployed it. In the first real life test, they shot this munition, and it was perfect.
And it worked?
Worked
Wow.
just as they planned.
That's cool. And it's cool to see that it's as planned, basically. And that's a very boring phrase, but it's actually very exciting to hear when you digitally test something and then you test it in real life.
And I think it's
it just
hilarious
works.
because it kind of goes against the term digital twin.
Right.
It's really the real twin.
Right. Yeah.
Because the digital came first.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Interesting. Thanks, Steve. I've got one from Speed Sport. A little departure, but
Speed Sport.
Hexagon partners with Hendrick to drive racing innovation.
Heck yeah.
And we've seen other manufacturers partner with racing groups, and this is an interesting one. So what they're looking for is a new collaborative robot inspection capabilities to eliminate bottlenecks. So manufacturing in high performance, high watched racing series, there's a lot of internal manufacturing, and a lot of that's kept for basically their proprietary parts, but also for quick turnaround. So they don't have to rely on external suppliers. They get a part designed. They can manufacture it in their own facility, basically control their own destiny. And what's interesting about this is shifting their capabilities as opposed to buying additive, buying a mill, buying a lathe. They're looking at the back end to improve their operational efficiency on their manufacturing side for the racing team. So they go over a couple of interesting things here. The collaborative robot, what that was interesting. Being able to add inspection equipment to there, in addition to some CMMs also. And I think it's a good point that they bring up in the article too. They diversify their probing and non-contact measurement capabilities. So they're expanding, automating to improve their bottleneck, but also growing the capabilities at the same time. So I thought it was a fascinating look into partnerships for, and I think there's a lot of value for Hexagon obviously also to see what does that environment look like. They're basically in a low volume, high mix environment. Can they switch parts around quickly and keep manufacturing capabilities there?
I gotta say, one thing I'm really proud of and happy to, I feel blessed, is for AMT hiring me and bringing me into this industry is that, my whole life, being a fan of like motorsports, I've never known like who 90% of those companies are like sponsored companies on the side of the track or even on the side of the cars are. And I feel like I'm able to recognize so many companies now, like knowing who Hexagon is and seeing them on the side of an F1 car, Siemens, whoever,
That's cool.
And it's not just like an oil and gas company or like,
or cigarette companies
or like, a super wealthy air carrier from like the Middle East. But or cigarette company. Nothing profound.
Right.
So that is cool.
Steve, I want to end on some very interesting new technology that we've been testing for a bit.
Yeah.
But I think we've got some useful tips for.
One thing that Ben and I are super proprietors of is our use of AI. As a tool in what we do every day. But I found an article from Wired titled 6 Tips for Using ChatGPT to Brainstorm Better.
That's cool.
And, while you and I are no stranger to OpenAI's playground, they're like raw programming platform for using their AI engine.
Right.
ChatGPT is a little bit more, not dumbed down, but a little bit more of a remedial version of that. So they make it conversational. So for people who don't know how to program the AI engine, they can have a conversation with it and get what they need out of it conversationally. But there are still even more people that like, I don't know how to use this. I don't know if I should be using this. But these are 6 tips on how you can use it to help you. Because at the end of the day, there's a huge concern that like, and we've talked about this before, so I'll try not to drone on, that, it's doing the work for you. It's doing your homework for you.
Sure.
It's not, but it's really helpful.
Right.
And for the people that can't see how it's helpful and don't quite understand how it doesn't do work for you, it's more like, I think a better example of like, it's not like a calculator where you punch in you just hit buttons and then it pops up an answer. Like, number one, you have to know how to use a calculator.
Right.
You have to know how math works still. As for with AI, you just have to know how to start the conversation.
Yep.
And then need to know how to modify it from there. The AI helps you find the answer, and it just shows your work for you.
That's right.
That's what AI does. And this article titled 6 Tips for Using ChatGPT to Brainstorm Better has like some really solid tips that I can get behind. The first being, and the most obvious, but maybe not for some, find a clear starting point.
Yep.
What are you trying to accomplish? And type that out.
Yeah.
Type that out. What are you trying to get? And it won't always work, but to show that you are in fact smarter than the AI is you will be able to tell whether or not it's wrong or not.
Yep.
The next one is the gauge the limitations of the bias and tools. I just transitioned into that. Like, you should know it should be relatively obvious when it's wrong. And you should be able to fix that for it. Like, and at least reiterate to it and re-clarify, I don't think that's right. And then it will double check itself. It will. And you can have it do, but you need to know to tell it to do that.
That's what I found on all of the tools, even the like the prepackaged ones that are part of a different software, is you always have to check its work.
Yeah.
You can't just copy and paste. You can't take what it provides you and assume that's the truth. You always have to take one, obviously read it, but check the links or check the facts that it's on or repeating. And I found that very, very important.
When you plug in a 3D design into CAM software and CAM spits out some G code for you, are you going to throw the tool and the work piece, the stock material, into a machine and hit go and walk away?
Yep.
Absolutely not.
Right. You're
going to simulate it, then you're going to air cut it.
Yep.
Then maybe cut some wax, and then maybe, if you don't have to send it back at all or retool anything, then you hit go. And on that first part, you're going to be hovering the e-stop the entire time. Exactly. It is the same thing.
And I think the conversational side of that tool is very important in this, in that you should tell it that this is incorrect, or have the conversation to continue to get to the result that is correct.
Yeah. So, and some people, I get where some people are coming from. It's like, well, it's kind of scary when, eventually it will get smart enough to where you won't be able to tell if it's incorrect. And it's like, it's on you.
Yes, that's on you.
That's on you.
You got to raise your game.
Nobody's correct 100% of the time.
Correct.
At the end of the day, it's called artificial intelligence. You can't have artificial intelligence without starting with artificial idiocy. And, it's trying to match humans. Yep. Humans aren't flawless. Why should we expect this robot to? And if a robot is flawless or a computer is flawless, then it deserves every right to take over. Okay, enough of that. Keep your prompts persistent. Like, keep probing, keep asking the same thing until it's like iterative design.
Yeah.
Keep the idea of the persistency is correcting it until the resultant is right. Or feels right and is good for you.
Right.
And sometimes that doesn't involve the AI. But when you're prompting it, you need to. So it doesn't hurt to reiterate.
Yep.
As per my last email. Ask for long lists, better lists, and weirder lists.
That's cool.
I've had great success asking for lists of companies.
Okay.
Now there was one time when it was wrong because shopping for a robot arm, I was like, hey, ChatGPT, I need. I'm trying to find an affordable industrial robot arm. We've got a budget of $10K, so try to keep it around $10K or below. And it comes out with a list of big name robot companies that we know. Your Fanuc, KUKA, ABB, UR, and it's like, spitting out model names that I know. I know the Fanuc CR3IA. Right. I know the UR3. I'm not as familiar with KUKAs and stuff like that, and ABBs. I'm a little familiar with the Kawasaki's, but I'm familiar enough.
That is not
being that I have a corporate budget for it. That these are not around $10K, and it was it was blatantly incorrect saying that, like, you can pick up a Fanuc CR3IA for $13K. It's like, no, you cannot. I don't think you can get that for below $30K.
Yeah.
So
check your work.
Got to have it check your work. It's like, hey, chat. Show me where you got these numbers. Yep. I need links right now because if these are real, then we're ready to swipe the card. But I have a feeling I don't even need to look at my wallet yet. Yep. So let's see what's next. Ask for long lists are great. Mock up a few examples.
That's cool.
Just like when I speak on this podcast using analogies, sometimes it's like analogies are like a coaxial or a parallel example to something. Using examples helps everybody understand better. Analogies don't always, but I don't always have a good example. I might have a better analogy, but examples always help people understand more. And you, at the end of the day, if you want a good result from AI, you need to give it a good input.
Yep.
It's like we're learning how to use the Google search engine all over again. You can't just, put in some keyboard barf into the search bar and expect to get good results.
Yep.
Every now and then you get lucky, which is why Google took off because, they've got some algorithms in there that work pretty well. And then lastly, stay open-minded about potential applications.
Cool.
And the way I read this tip is try to use ChatGPT for more than what you need it to.
Oh, that's fair.
Ask it anything.
Yep.
Like when I get home at the end of the day, I'm done writing. I don't want to write anything else. I can barely bang out text messages to people. Like I do not like writing.
Sure.
And sometimes when I get home, Melissa will ask me, hey, can you help me respond to this email from like my CEO?
Sure.
And I'm like,
you got to support her somehow, man.
And then I'll be like, this one time, I think I've talked about this before, a raise negotiation.
Right.
I don't want to spill all the beans, but I'm like, I have this brilliant idea. I'm like, do me a favor, send me that email that he sent you on Slack, because I've got Slack on my gaming PC.
Sure.
And I threw it in a ChatGPT. I was like, hey, this is what so-and-so, this is what we're trying to get out of this. This is the email they sent. How should we reply?
Oh.
The first query, that first query got a solid result.
Okay.
But it was like, not going to lie, it was like 70, 80% there.
Yeah.
But we wanted to fine tune some things to make the delivery that much better.
Right.
And it went back and forth between Grammarly and another AI and ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And eventually, after like 3 to 5 queries or dialogues back and forth, we got the perfect response email to send it. And we shipped it off, and long story short, Mel got a huge raise.
Wow.
So yeah, try to use it for anything. I mean, I might ask it to make a shopping list. Like, I want to make some pasta bolognese. Yeah. Make me a shopping list. I don't want to think about this stuff.
That'd be fun.
I just want to go to the grocery store and grab stuff off the shelf.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck with that. Let us know how that turns out.
I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
I'll find it to do so, but just the example I'm trying to
we should talk about use cases
get it to do
more often.
Try to get it to do anything.
Yeah. Share your use cases for ChatGPT.
Okay.
I'm telling the audience here.
Yeah, definitely do that. Comment down below, like, share, subscribe.
Steve, where can they find more info about us?
amtonline.org/resources.
Bye, everyone.
Bing bong.